If you're watching this video, you're probably in the middle of a much needed but painful transformation in your mind, your body, your soul, and your emotions. You're going through a transformation. You're ready to let go of this old version of you that self-sabotages, has bad habits, thinks negative things, and engages with those limiting beliefs. And you're ready to step into a version of yourself that operates from a state of peace, that operates from a state of trust and alignment with the universe and the natural flow of things. Well, in this video, I want to show you how you can fully break free from the version of yourself that is holding on to you. And if you don't got time to watch the whole video, the first thing we're going to talk about is how your ego is the old version of yourself. The version of yourself that you want to be, your highest self, is your authentic, most divine state. It is the version of you that never had to earn anything and was always in perfect connection with the universe and God and the source. So what you will need to do is learn how to fully dissolve the ego, not through just researching, not through watching YouTube videos or podcasts or reading books, but through actually mastering the art of surrender, letting go, meditation, breath work, and learning to apply what the greatest sages and teachers of all time are telling you. The second thing we're going to talk about is the 3 stages of your development that you are going to have to go through on this journey to dissolve that ego, to dissolve that old version of yourself that is holding on so tight. And the final thing we're going to talk about is the true mechanism of surrender, the true state of presence and peace and full detachment, and what it's going to feel like when you arrive to that place. Before we get into the full breakdown, because I'm really going into the cycle of transformation right now, if you want a step-by-step companion guide, I put together a document where it has everything I'm going to be talking about, all the graphs, all the terms, all the breakdowns. Click the first link in the bio, join the Telegram, and it's the most recent post in there. So you're going to be able to use that to go step by step with me as we go throughout this video. I want to start from the beginning, because in order to dissolve the version of us that we are not, in order to let go of that ego and that version of ourselves that we're aiming to grow from, for me, that was a version of myself that was achieving new levels of success in business, lifestyle, fitness, but I still had this old residue from an old version of myself. The version of myself that was young, immature, in college. I would drink, smoke weed, binge eat, just engage with all forms of pleasure. That version of myself stuck around for an extra 3 to 5 years in my spiritual transformation. And now looking back on it, I realized there was one core thing that I had to understand and truly step into in order to experience the transformation I was looking for. And that was an expansion of my concept of self. And in order to unlock this identity, this new version of yourself that is more aligned with your divine nature, your highest states, we need to engage with practices of self-awareness. Because when you become more aware of the self, you are going to be more aware of the version of yourself that you are not by default. And this is the process we have to engage with. So, before we fully jump into breaking down self-awareness, I want to break down the map of effortless transformation and how to expedite your process to change so you don't have to go to those 3 to 5 years of painful growth that I went through. Now, this is going to be a variant of Dr. David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness. And essentially, the whole idea behind this graph is that our state of mind has a direct correlation to our life experience, right? Our level of consciousness. Our level of consciousness, to be conscious of, right? To be consciously aware of something is our level of awareness. Now, that level of awareness is directly correlated to our identity of self, right? The things that we choose to identify with, whether that's fear, anxiety, or the good things like love or joy. Now, I want to anchor this properly from the beginning. There is a natural divine intelligence that guides all of us, that is eternally present. It is operating all of life. I see it in the trees and the gentle breeze causing them to dance. I hear it in the birds chirping in the background. I feel it in the sun on my skin. It is an eternally present source of energy and life. And that is the supreme reality. That is the one thing that you are going to have to fully adopt into your life in order to dissolve the egoic self. Because when we truly engage with that of truth, that of power, we align with the natural governing principles of life. We are aligned with peace, joy, trust, and faith. And that old version of ourselves naturally starts to fall away because we're like, oh my God, that fear, that anxiety, that doubt, that guilt, that shame, that was all just because my state of mind and my level of consciousness wasn't placed on the proper focus. And that's why I try and create the content I do, so you have an opportunity to place your focus on the things you want. Now, if you want to have the full breakdown and the full training and the full guide that I'm going off of in this video, go ahead and click the first link in my bio. I posted it in the Telegram channel. So you're going to be able to use that as a companion document, and you're going to be able to read it at your own speed, use it. You could print it, mark it up, whatever you need to do. But that's going to be a full breakdown where you can read slowly, look at all the graphs I put together for you. So that's going to be the first link in the bio. Now, when we reject the principles and try and control life, we are going to engage with the lower states of consciousness, which are going to be that of anxiety, stress, confusion, and fear. Because we're thinking that we are the center of the universe and we're the only one in control and we're the only one to take blame and we think we're in control of all of life, we're going to weigh ourselves down. That's going to be life consumptive energy. That's what makes you feel tired, burnt out, exhausted, where your brain is fried and you can't think and you're just tired. You don't even have the energy to do the good things for yourself. That's because we're operating from that state. Now think about it. Your state of mind colors everything you do, because when you are angry, the waiter or that bad driver or the extra long line to the bathroom is going to upset you. But when you are in a state of peace, everything is perfectly fine as it is and it doesn't impact you. Because in these contracted states like fear, we experience force, where we have to exert this effort that consumes our life energy because we're just operating in a poor operating system. This is where life feels heavy, stressful, overcomplicated. It's like living in quicksand that you cannot escape. This lower state of being is actually consuming the energy of life for the processes of survival in your biology. But in these expansive states like love, we experience power, where the energy is life affirming and it becomes effortless because the universe is meeting us halfway. Because if we're investing into life and we're providing energy and love and joy and energetic investment into the things outside of us, because we're not so focused on me, life is going to meet us halfway and do the same, because you get what you give, you reap what you sow. This is where life is like living in an effortless flow with natural principles of a higher state of existence. We have surrendered the negativity, so we naturally fall into the order of higher powers that are guiding life in all ways. I'm in Mexico. There's going to be loud trucks coming up and down the street, and I cannot change that. If I wanted to change that and I got upset by it, I'd be in a state of fear, anxiety, and control. But if I continue as I am and operate from the state of peace I feel, I remain in my center, in my state of power. Now, these contracted states of force are categorized as illusion, falsehood, and it's the misidentification. Right? So you're identifying with your ego. You're identifying with the, oh my God, that truck shouldn't be driving up and down the street. The, oh my God, that girl hasn't texted me back in 7 hours. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Or, oh my God, I have so much work I need to get done today. I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to finish it. That's the ego identifying with the world and the transient illusion of 10,000 things. But these expansive states of power are categorized as alignment with truth, and a supreme reality of being. Like, the truth is that I have discovered, especially since being in Mexico, is in this present moment, when I let go of the negative thoughts, when I let go of the energy, when I let go of the fear and the doubt, all of those impulses that are just coming up in my mind and coming up in my body, and I'm able to truly surrender into this state, I realize I am one with life. I'm not fighting it. I'm not trying to change it. I am just as much a part of this life as these trees behind me, as the sun on my skin, as the breeze, as the birds. It's not me versus the world. It's all of us together. And we're all existing in this state of being. Like, think about it. Life is just happening. It is one collective experience, but the only thing that creates separation is our identification with the illusion, the identification with the negative thoughts, the identification with, oh my God, Grant is a victim. Why did that truck drive up the street when I'm filming my YouTube video? It's a state that's found right here. Now, I want to get into the 3 stages of deleting your old self and how that's going to be a protocol that you cycle through each of the 3 steps every time when you have a new trigger, when you have new negative thoughts or limiting beliefs coming up into your life, or you found something that your ego has got attached to. This is going to be a 3-step process that you have to master and walk through. But before I get into that, this is not a path of transformation that is an A to Z journey, because that is an old, outdated belief of paradigm. That's why we're stuck in the first place. That's why the ego still has control, because it thinks in a cause and effect duality type manner. It's saying, when I get this certain thing, I will be happy. In this future date, after I get this amount of money, or I get this amount of success, or I get the girl, I'm going to be happy. Right? But peace exists right now, because if you do not have it now, you will not have it then. The past and the future are literally illusions in your head. Think about it. They are constructs in your mind causing you to leave the present moment. That thought of fear, oh my God, I have a test tomorrow, is literally causing you to move your consciousness and focus into the tomorrow that does not exist. Versus being here and realizing that, you know what? The test is a tomorrow issue. I don't have to worry about it right now. I can be here now and breathe and do my best studying and not allow this overwhelm or anxiety to cause me to doom scroll or snack when I need to be studying and I need to be present so I can consume the material for the test. You see how that is the process that brings us back down to earth and allows us to do the things we want to do? Because that egoic version of ourself would want to have the dopamine, would want to doom scroll, would want to have the snacks to numb itself from that feeling of anxiety within. But when you truly can just find peace now, you're not operating from a place of scarcity. You're not operating from a state of lack. And that's truly the most liberating thing, is realizing the reason things were hard, or the reason the ego was holding on, or the reason you didn't want to go to the gyms in the morning was just because you had that feeling of tension in your body. And because you had that feeling of tension, you had these thoughts come up. But because you believed they were real, because you believed they were you, it caused you to make actions and define an identity and behavior out of that state. So what I'm trying to show you how to do is when you increase your level of self-awareness and you operate from these higher states of truth, where you realize like, oh, like maybe I am one with life on my good days and my bad days. Maybe I am no separate. Maybe I am part of the universal experience in my own way. Right? That's what they say. You are not some pointless drop of water in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. Which gives you all the power you need right now to do the things you need to do. Now, the 3 stages of transformation that we're going to go through is a cyclical protocol of surrendering our false identifications. It is an unveiling of a natural, more supreme reality at the foundation of all of life. Because we must stop engaging with principles of illusion, the tactics of the ego, the endless nonsense of the mind. That's an illusion. Those things do not exist. So the 3 stages of deleting your old self. thinking, doing, and being. And I talked about these in the last video, but we're really going to get in depth with them right now. So stage 1, thinking. The first thing to overcome is as soon as I do X, I will have Y, right? That is a cause and effect mindset. That is an outdated paradigm of Newtonian physics, right? But that's why Joe Dispenza and quantum physics is so important as part of this story. Because we're realizing the experience we're having is spontaneously happening. Think about it. All we have is the present moment. There is no 10 seconds ago and there's no 10 seconds from now. Those are only constructs of my mind. But as soon as we say, I do not have X right now, so when I do have it, I will have Y in a future date. If I do not have money now, as soon as I have it, then I will have peace. You are engaging with the illusion of time. So you're engaging with literally something that is false. Time is not real. Even though it's on your iPhone, it is not real. Time just gives us structure so humanity can operate in a more controlled manner. But it is literally not real when you understand the presence. This is why Eckhart Tolle is so powerful talking in the power of now. When you have anxiety or fear about wanting to be a billionaire by the time you're 27, that's the tension in your body causing you to identify with the negative thoughts. You're like, oh my God, what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm never loved by my family because I'm a failure? You're going to be recreating that feeling of thoughts in your body in the form of an emotion, in the form of anxiety, in the form of fear, which is going to prevent you from taking action. Because you're going to be so shameful and guiltful that you're experiencing that. You're going to need to numb yourself and engage with the pleasures to feel some type of relief, right? This is why we're addicted to the binge eating, the smoking, the drinking, the girls, whatever. Whatever your egoic fix is, that's chill. We don't need to identify with it because it's literally just a product of that chain of events that I just described. Now, in Vedic traditions, they call this Maya, which is the world of illusion, the ever-changing landscape of life that we experience on a day-to-day basis. Those fleeting thoughts that are here now and then they're not. Those fleeting emotions that are here now and then they're not. The person that's walking down the street corner in front of you, that's here and then they're not. In Taoism, we call this the world of 10,000 things. It's the endless parade of thoughts, emotions, people, places, and circumstances the ego grabs onto and calls real. Because in that moment, you're identifying with that experience, right? Grant is identifying with the fact that I'm on a balcony in a Mexico house, right? I see the colors, I see the plants and the pots and all these things, and it's just validating my sense of experience right now. But when I go into the state of meditation and I close my eyes and I don't have that stimulus, and I'm forced to be present with this breath, and I'm forced to observe my thoughts, and it's trying to take me back into those events where there's people, places, and things. It's trying to get me to identify again, right? It's trying to get me to give in and not give into that stillness, not give into the present moment, because the ego cannot exist in the present moment because it's a construct. This is why it's the most important thing for you to understand, because this is what self-awareness is all about. Self-awareness is learning to realize what we are through thinking, right? We have to think about it first. I'm not those thoughts because they come and go. Sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not. Then you need to practice. You need to meditate. You need to do the thing. And when you continuously meditate, you realize that your permanent state is that silence, that stillness, that presence, where you're still doing your everyday thing in life. I'm still going to the gym. I'm still eating good food. I'm still going to the beach. I'm still getting sunlight. I'm still talking to pretty girls. I'm still working on my YouTube channel and my business. But my identity is not dependent upon those things. Because if they were dependent upon those things, they would trigger me when I didn't have them and make me feel anxious And if I'm anxious, I need to relieve that pressure because the pressure is like boiling over inside of me. And because it's boiling, I'm going to go snack, or I'm going to do some type of thing to distract myself from that feeling, and I'm going to revalidate that egoic loop. Our true goal is not to engage with the world of Maya. It is to reconnect to our eternal nature, the only state of being that is right here, right now. And it's forever the source of peace and divinity, the eternal now, the awareness that is always present, the unconditioned consciousness behind all of the ever-changing landscape. Now, when you spend time consuming this content and thinking about it, we need to put it into action so you can experience it. Because it's the experience of sitting in meditation and realizing like, oh my God, those thoughts aren't me. It's the experience of catching a trigger in the moment, breathing through it, and watching the thoughts and emotions just disappear instantaneously through surrender and letting go. That is the thing that's going to rewire your identity. So you don't need to think about it anymore. And honestly, you should stop thinking about it. You should start practicing these things. Doing is the arduous path of ego death. This is the most painful part of the process, and this is why people fall back into their old identity, where they just keep consuming books, videos, podcasts, because it's easy, because they're not doing the practice. The practice is where the ego death happens, which is why it's painful. But it's not painful, it's just momentary, because the ego shuts up pretty quickly when you're doing the right practice. This is the trench work of sitting with your old programs, sitting with the negative thoughts and those programmed emotions, but choosing to realize that you're on to stage 2 of your journey. It's the experiential process where you're observing your feelings. You're intuitively navigating the process of letting go of these thoughts and emotions based on the feeling you have inside of yourself. Because like I told you, it's not an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z type of journey. It's a moment-to-moment experience. That's why I'm saying it's experiential. You experience it in your feelings, in the depth of your breath, in the stillness of your mind. That is where level 2 happens. It is beyond the mind now, because you're never going to be able to understand it. That's the ego trying to think about it. It's not thinking about surrender or telling yourself, I need to let go of this person to attract them. No, it's not. It's the act of saying, yes, I really do want to have this person in my life. I'm very attracted to them. But I'm never going to forego on my inner state of peace and stillness that I have found just because I have a desire for something. Because the true things that are meant for me in alignment in my life will revalidate this peace and connection to the unity of the moment. Because that's all there is. And if it is not, it is an illusion. It is not real, and it is false, and it is here to teach me a lesson and allow me to come back and surrender back to this moment, to let go and allow life and the divine intelligence to naturally guide me. Now, there's 3 things you're going to go through in the state of doing, right? This is going to be seated meditation as step 1. Then it's going to be walking meditation as step 2. And then it's going to be surrender as a way of life. So you're going to have to practice in the seated meditation. You're going to have to practice in the silence, the darkness, and the nothingness, so you can observe how thoughts and emotions randomly appear. Then when you understand that concept through experiencing that cycle multiple times, you're ready to step into walking meditation. This is where you're ready to meditate in your everyday life, when you go to the grocery store, when you get cut off in traffic, when your boss sends out a last-minute email that you need to do something. You think of those things as those thoughts and emotions just happening in the moment, but you're not going to allow them to have power over you. You're going to be surrendered to them. Because you learn to find the stillness in the darkness meditation where there's nothing, you now have the toolkit to do it in everyday life. Then surrender becomes a way of life, where you've rewired your brain and reprogrammed your body for this peace, for this trust, for this faith, through this high-level pattern of thought and trust in the divine. Surrender and letting go is now a moment-to-moment practice that is second-hand nature, like driving a car, like riding a bike. You are spending your days engaging with things that fuel your connection to your spiritual force and your inner peace and enhancing your self-awareness. You're no longer engaging with the world of Maya because you understand what it is. And you understand how to observe it, how to breathe through it, and surrender in the moment. This is where we no longer allow the tactics of the ego to suck us back into the version of ourselves we want to grow from. Now, the final stage is stage 3. You are no longer attached to the workings of the outer world, the ever-changing world of 10,000 things. The being state is a state of effortless practice, peace, and freedom. It is the present moment. It is the oneness with life. It is your natural state. It is the thing that was always there, and it's the thing that you always had immediate access to, except now you've done the work to get rid of the residue preventing you from engaging with your old egoic self and the identity you wanted to grow from. Your thoughts and emotions hold way less weight and priority in your mind because you know they're fleeting. You are flowing with life in each moment. You are operating from an inner state of wholeness and peace. Now surrender and inner freedom is your natural inner state. Your nervous system, neural pathways, actions, and beliefs all reflect this state of being and wisdom you have unlocked through staying the course. Because it was never something to be attained outside of yourself. It was something you just had to begin engaging with and practicing and retraining into your everyday life because it was stripped from us. This is where you are in the present moment. No more striving. No more questioning, no more rumination, judgments, or fears. Just true surrender to your life and all that is happening. It is an allowance of peace, presence, and stillness to be your core operating system. So, ladies and gentlemen, in summary, your old version of self is an ego that is engaging with the world of Maya, or the world of 10,000 things, or all the illusions, the thoughts, emotions, people, places, and things that do not exist right here, right now. And because it's such a visceral experience where your thoughts and emotions are literally sucked into that reality, where you're living out a past experience in a moment you said something awkward to your crush, or a moment your boss called you out for being lazy, or you're forecasting a future and anxiety of not having money to pay the bills or not knowing what your life is going to look like after this moment. That is the cycle of karma, right? That is why we are reincarnated, because we must kill off the ego and then we are reborn into a new life. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. You're just living out your karmic inheritance, and the more you learn to surrender that wheel of illusion, you're able to hop off of it. So you're no longer experiencing that painful ego death. No, I know this from lived experience because I've engaged with multiple cycles of self-destruction. At the top of my business success, I've sabotaged multiple times. And now I'm rebuilding from ground zero. And I'm doing it with an immense, profound amount of wisdom. And I've learned to operate from a state of peace, trust, and conviction in the higher level principles that I've studied. And I'm trying to help you do the same. Self-awareness is going to be your key to all of this, because through engaging with videos like mine, I hope to shine light on who you truly are. That eternal self in this present moment that is just observing. You're not your name, you're not your feelings, you're not your thoughts. You're that silent presence that's just there. And we don't need to read into it too much because it's just there. Everything else is just manifesting from that place as an experience or a moment in time. And when we're more in tune with that version of ourself that is still, that is peaceful, and that is calm, the easier it is going to be spot the illusions that are trying to suck us back into the matrix or suck us back into our ego. Thoughts, emotions, people, places, and things. Now, if you truly want to let go of that version of yourself and actually engage with the practice, you're going to have to go through those 3 stages: the thinking, the doing, and the being. And the level of doing is where all the hard work happens. It's the arduous path of the ego, where it's supposed to die. and be dissolved. And in that state, you're going to have to go through your stillness practices in meditation, like actually sitting in silence and seeing no things with your eyes closed, listening to no things in the form of stimulus, and just observing your thoughts, observing your emotions, and coming back to the center time and time again. When you've trained to the place where you're really good at that for 3 to 4 weeks, now you can start meditating in everyday life. And over those 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to start using the tool of meditation in everyday life. But you're ready to conceptualize the next level, where you realize those illusions in your mind and emotions during meditation are no different than the people, places, and things you come across in everyday life. It's still ever changing, but that stillness can be yours through the entirety of it within. And then your final stage is that it just becomes a state of being. It becomes an effortless act, an art, a dance. And through that, you complete the full level of surrender. I can sit with conviction and confidence on the other side of this and tell you that right now, I have no thoughts in my head. I have peace in my body. And I've got nowhere else to be. I feel really plugged into life right now, and I wish that for all of you. I wish you inner freedom. I wish you peace of mind. I wish you purpose and fulfillment, because they are your natural state right now. All we got to do is dissolve the illusion to get you there. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you want the actual material to go through this and study it and read what I wrote down and broke down in the form of this breakdown for you, go click the first link in my bio. You hop in the Telegram. It's going to be the first link you see there. You're going to be able to go access it, do your thing with it. I want you to drop a like, subscribe, and I got nothing but peace and love for you guys. Peace.